Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's vlog post. Again, another interesting week in the rate volatility market. Nice to see we managed to string a couple days together where things actually, despite economic issues that might have been considered to have pushed rates even higher, the market actually settled in a little bit and pricing improved a little. So we're seeing a case where the market is trying to find its level and sometimes knee-jerk reacting to information that's put out there in ways that we're not expecting it to go. The reality of this is we're dealing with this volatility, and we have been for quite some time. The push higher still remains this huge threat until we see what the Fed actually does. Not what they say, because we've been through the whole Fed speak thing and how they've managed to be wrong or not do what they say they're going to do, or what they're saying not exactly being accurate. So until actions actually take place and until the market deals with them, we're probably going to deal with this volatility. And I think the pressure is still going to be on rates going higher. But that said, we can't use rates as an excuse. 5% interest rates or 6% interest rates, wherever, the direction that we're going, doesn't signal the end as we know it in people buying houses. And I think, yes, coming off an all-time low where rates were in the twos, it is painful to see rates in the fours and fives and potentially higher. But you have to look through history and realize, and again, I beg all of you, just do a simple Google search and pull up the information. Look at mortgage rate history over the last 20 or 30 years. Even, recently, rates have been, higher. Excuse me. But by no means are interest rates unmanageable. And the rates themselves are not going to cause the meltdown that some on social media would have you believe. We're dealing with home prices. Home prices are still going higher. And in some cases, we're seeing instances where homes are coming onto the market priced one way and selling for less than their original list price, but by no means lower than what it was, or what would have been, or what the comps will support. Some people, as you well know, will aggressively price a house higher than the market and let people reach for it. I myself live in a community where somebody put their house on the market and sold it for more than $200,000 more than what they originally had asked for. Again, somebody puts their house out at a number, and that number is high, and they settle for a number that's slightly less than that. Doesn't mean prices are falling. It just means they're not rising as rapidly as they once were. And we all knew that this year we were not going to see 15 or 20% price appreciation. So while I expect price appreciation to calm down, and I expect prices not to be rising as rapidly, there's an amazing amount of pressure on the housing market. And you can see that with the number of, still we're seeing multiple offers on property, houses going for over asking. It's happening every day. And that goes to even further, that we've got a whole section of the market, the FHA down payment assistance people, the seller's concession people, some bond program people. Those people have been pushed out of the marketplace because sellers aren't accepting those offers, because they're accepting offers from people who are putting more money down or going conforming, and that's just the way it is. So while there may not be as many buyers, and while home prices may not go up as quickly as they were, prices, are by no means rapidly plunging. Excuse me. So it's important to look at this. And I've, again, went online, I pulled up some information and realized that last year, the average mortgage loan was priced, and again, it's averaging for the entire year, 2.96% and about 0.7 points. So a little less than a point, 3/4 of a point in cash. And historically, this was an all-time low when it comes to a yearly average. Now, you have to realize you correspond that with the fact that we sold, and these are just resales. It's not new construction, whatever, just resales. And if you track it, National Association of Realtors has this information up. You can Google search it. We sold 6.12 million units last year in residential resales. So we had the lowest rates ever, 2.96 and 0.7 of a point. And we sold 6.12 million houses. Okay. By comparison, in 2005, we sold 7.08 million residential resales. Rates were rates were 7% and a half a point. So guess what? The reality of it is we sold more houses. Okay, we had more resales. In 2006, we sold 600.6 million houses and had an interest rate of 6.41 and a half a point. Okay, so the correlation, the fact that we're not going to sell houses because interest rates are going higher is not founded in any factual basis. Now, I get it. People want to pay less. They don't want to pay as much. But the reality of it is, we qualify people for a payment, not an interest rate. And many of the people that we qualify don't get to their max payment. Many people are not comfortable paying what we can qualify them for. They have other things that they like to do with their money. They don't want to make those payments into a house. So when you look at rates and you look at situations, understand that, all through history, and it's really important that you look back, we had double-digit interest rates. And at one time, and if you want to go all the way back to October of 1981, we dealt with 18.45% and 2.3 points to get a 30-year mortgage loan if you could find somebody to lend you the money. And yet houses were being sold. Transactions were happening. Those mortgages were actually taken. I myself, first loan that I wrote was just a shade under 16%. So the point is it is important that you understand the perspective and look at the data and put it together in a way that explains to your client that, yes, rates are going higher, and this is the impact on your payment. This is the impact on the amount of money that you can borrow. Show them payment versus dollar volume, but also, and we've talked about this a lot, you've got to show your expertise on how moving the needle with their credit score. We talked about this last week. Improving their credit score could offset some, if not all, of the change in payments because of higher interest rates. The difference between a 620 credit score and a 775 credit score is phenomenal. But it's not only in the interest rate to which they borrow money. It's also the cost of their homeowner's insurance, the cost of their MI if they can get it. Sometimes, again, take those people to show me the person with the 625 credit score trying to finance 95% of a house. What's their PMI rate factor? Again, look at these situations and say, there are a lot of things that go into the cost of the payment. There are other than interest rates, and interest rates themselves are not prohibitive in the act of people buying houses, especially when you look at the demand that we have to buy houses. And the key factor here is look at what people are paying for rents. Look to comparison in your own market. What's the rent versus own analysis? This rental unit versus that house. You've got to make it hyper local when you're dealing with national factors. You got to break it down. Well, how does that impact our market? What does it mean to my consumer? As always, we're here to help. We welcome your questions and your comments. Mike at imtcoaching.com. Talk to you again next week.